Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for hanging out till the end. Hopefully it will be worth it. At the end of this presentation, I hope that you will have a bit more understanding of why you may be encountering resistance to wanting to get help. If you're a clinician, why your parents or your clients and children that are coming to you are resistant to talking to you, and a few ideas on how things can change and our context. So in terms of the historical context, to be able to help instill hope in our youth, we have to understand, especially for those who are coming from a Caymanian culture, and this is also the mindset or the culture in other Caribbean countries, that barriers they may face to asking for that help. The first is that they can face when trying to access resources and therapeutic interventions is understanding the perspective in which the culture exists. If you understand it, it can lead to opportunities for the therapeutic support being more accessible, especially when dealing with a young person or families who are resistant to working with a therapist. For those who, like I said, are from a Caymanian heritage or in some other Caribbeans, it is not unusual to have heard or still be hearing some of the following comments. We don't share our personal family business with anybody else. You don't talk to strangers. That's just how Uncle John is. He always been kind of weird. Just don't pay no attention to him. I don't know why you young people are always stressed out. Our lives were much harder than yours. You have it easy. You just need to get over it. Just put it out of your mind. The same thing happened to me when I was younger, and I survived. It's okay for you to go to the doctor if you have the flu or if you're diabetic, but you don't go to no counselor and talk about your family stuff. All they could do is put you on drugs. These, like I said, are common and still today in 2025. In my practice, in working with families, in my position in government, talking in the community, those thoughts are still very prevalent, unfortunately. So how does that history translate in 2025? If someone has been raised with these messages, it isn't unusual for persons to be resistant to interventions. As a clinician, you may find yourself working with a young person whose parent will not sign their consent form to get help. I know that we had some of that when we when we initially launched Teen Talk. As a parent or youth may be experiencing a struggle to even ask for help, and possibly repeating those same messages to themselves. Because of that cultural mindset, distrust in counseling and the psychological professionals may be formed. Therefore, for those professionals, getting the help, for the individuals getting access and help becomes very, very difficult because there becomes a disregard for reporting symptoms of distress due to the attitude of a dismissal of the behavior, of the feelings, of the emotions being sent. Like, well, I survived, so will you. Or the statements that it's all in your mind. You just need to work harder in school. Stop thinking so much. Stop watching those shows and playing those video games and talking to those people that you're always talking to, chatting on the phone. Parents may also not be aware of their children's behavior. Parents are very, very busy these days. You're working, you're raising your families. Some are single parents and doing everything under the sun. You may even be studying. And either you may not know the signs to look for, or they just completely, you're missed. Teens can also hide the signs very well. They spend a lot of time alone or with their group of friends. And so it's difficult for a parent to recognize that something's going on. There's also a struggle between parenting styles that is happening. I often hear some parents say, well, I want to be their friend, because if I'm their friend, then they'll talk to me. This can give your child a mixed message because they have friends and they know that there's certain things that they can't tell their friends. So if you as a parent is saying, I'm going to be your friend, that creates a whole different dynamic because you're supposed to be the person who keeps me safe. You're supposed to be the person who gets me the help that I need. So how do we change the context and give our youth hope? We have to first start by opening the dialogue. As parents, we need to educate ourselves on the common mental health illnesses and challenges among our teens. The struggles with anxiety, depression, self-harming behaviors, suicidal thoughts, social anxiety, and some of the challenges such as bullying, social media messages, sexual grooming, distorted body images, and substance use, just to name a few. You need to know the common signs. You also need to know how to access help. You need to look for ways that you can get your child to check in with you. They don't often want to talk to us, so we have to get creative, which means, one, not giving up on asking the question, how are you? Making sure that you create maybe activities in which they're kind of distracting them, maybe helping with dinner, going for a drive, going for a walk on the beach, and just talking. You have to continue to engage them. Otherwise, we will lose them. We need to continue to encourage them. Highlight the things that they're doing, even if it's something simple. When I was principal at the Lighthouse School, one of the things that I implemented was at the end of every school year, every student got a report card. And the first reaction from the teachers were, well, we don't really do tests, so how do we write how they achieved? How do we write something positive that this child did if they don't talk, walk, anything, where everything's being done for them? My response was, you cannot tell me that you spend 5 days a week, basically 6 to 7 hours with these individuals, and you can't say one positive thing about what they have accomplished. Even if it's, they smiled today, they laughed, they lifted their hand 5 inches. This is the same thing that we as parents and other adults that are involved with them, we need to do. We have to find the positive. They get enough negative messages from the outside world. We need to, when talking with them, share words of encouragement, acknowledge that you understand the emotions they are experiencing, and when they do open up, respond with, I understand. That sounds like a difficult situation. That really makes sense. And also try to, again, praise them for things they're doing well, because we can always find something wrong. Try to help build their self-confidence and let them know you are their biggest cheerleader. We also need to model positive and supportive behaviors. This means we have to take time to support them. We need to work together and help them out with their routines. Help them learn how to balance their home chores, their homework, the extracurricular activities, even social media. We need to help them learn how to set achievable goals. This is especially important for our high achievers who may be only wanting to focus on those exam results, those grades. We need to get them out of their room, exercising, or just taking a walk. But we need to help them learn how to schedule their time and how to take care of themselves. If you're not comfortable doing that, then find somebody who can help you. Talk to a teacher, a family friend who may be good in organizing and coming up with schedules, or even a counselor. But you have to help them. Again, you're their parent, that's your job. Giving appropriate time and space for them is also important. Becoming an adolescent means that you get to play around with independence. But we have to ensure that they are not by themselves hiding on social media all of the time. They need to know that they still need to be able to have conversations, to interact with people, and engage, which is really important when they become adults and they have to do things like interviews and scholarship interviews or work interviews. They need to be able to work through conflict in a positive way. We see the videos on the news or on certain social channels of fights at the high schools. We hear on international news all of the conflict. My daughter called me the other day and told me that a town over, a gentleman was unfortunately killed by a 14-year-old girl, a 16-year-old, and a 23-year-old person. And it was because the young lady went into Subway, was carrying on. The older gentleman said, kind of calm down. She didn't like that, walked out of Subway, got her friends, and when he left, they went and beat him down. So conflict is everywhere. So we need to help them learn how to problem solve in a positive way. This means that we need to make sure that them sitting alone or where they're searching for information is appropriate and limited. When talking with your child, it is important to not continue the discussion if you are getting angry. And if your children are like how my children were when they still do it, they know the buttons to press. They know those buttons. So as the adult, it is important that you take a breath. Say to them, okay, we're both getting really heated. I'm not listening to you. You're not listening to me. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take a break. This is not over, because if you walk away and not let them know what's happening, they then are going to think, oh, she don't care about what I have to say. She's not listening to me. It's not important. And that is usually the end of any discussion that you could possibly have with your child. So making sure that when you have those discussions, if you need to take a break, if things are getting too heated, then you wait till you're both calmed down. But then you're also teaching them that when they're in situations that things are getting heated, that it's okay to walk away and go back. We need to be honest and transparent, especially with our children. There's a saying that numerous times friends would say to me, you're a super mom. You're a super parent. You're a super person. I have no cape. Capes are dangerous. You get pulled into jet things. No, the problem with that is that when you keep hearing that you're the super person, sometimes you start to do things that you think you're super person, and you try to do every single thing and solve everything and be everywhere, and it starts to impact you in different ways, right? So we have to be honest and transparent, and God forbid, do what our parents probably didn't do, is show our vulnerability. We need to show that it is okay to cry, that it's okay not to be okay, that I don't have all the answers, that we cannot afford that. We can't go there. I am tired. I can't do it. But it's okay. We'll look at another way to go to that person and see them or visit them at another time. But we have to show them how to deal with their difficult feelings so that they know how to deal with their feelings on their own. Helping them develop problem-solving skills by taking time to reflect on how together you can resolve a problem shows them that you care. You also need to show them how to take care of themselves by you taking care of yourself. When you take a break, when you ask for help, especially when you're overwhelmed, you are not showing them how to be weak, but courageous. Don't wait to model this when you're completely exhausted. Make it a part of your normal conversations with your teens. Make time to do things that help you cope. Work with them to identify things that they can also incorporate in their routine to manage stress and cope, which can include, we heard on the panel, exercise, meditation, journaling, yoga, dancing, painting, anything that they like. Build it into their very busy schedules, and especially important for those who like the books. We also need to create safe environments. Parents need to ensure that our young people know where to go for accurate information. Together, identifying resources for information is important. These can be resources in your community, online. Make sure that the sites that they're going to for information is reliable. We also need to ensure that they're aware of the free resources that we have here on island and how to access them. Now, I'm originally a teacher, so I'm going to give you some creative ways to do that. Making a poster. When you were little, or as parents, we like to, when they are little, we put up all the stuff on the fridge of the pictures that they drew in kindergarten and so forth. Well, creating a flyer with all the helplines or the free resources that they can get access to, and putting that up on the refrigerator. So you're not having to say to them, well, you can go there, or we can go here, but you're giving them the information to make the choices when they need that help. Because they may not necessarily come to you initially. As lawmakers and our leaders, we need to open the dialogue wider. What does that mean? We need to make our young people, and again, it was said here on the panelists, active members in discussions when we're making laws or acts and decisions and policies that will impact their lives. We all have limitations on our life. We are going to be leaving them here to continue running this country and doing all the things that we hope and wish they will do. But if we jacken it up, we're not talking to them or listening to them, they're going to spend the rest of their adulthood trying to fix what we messed up. So we have to bring them to the table. It means that this has to also be not a one-time photo op. Yay, we invited these young people to do something. They need to be at the table, be a part of that conversation, be a part of the implementation of what they have decided. They need to see their words and wishes in action. We need to ensure that we create environments and forums where their voices are heard. And again, show how that is being utilized. We need to make housing affordable. We need to look at how they access employment We need to give them opportunities for their first job. There's so many times that I see advertisements and they're requiring 5 to 8 years experience. And it's really what do you call that? First-time job, right? You shouldn't need 5 years of experience to do a basic accounting. This young person's coming back with 4 years of training and internships. We need to make sure that we are giving them those opportunities. We also need to ensure that they are a part of the political process. And I was happy to see how involved the young people were getting, especially in the recent voting registration. We need to help them learn how to be leaders when it's their time. We need to share urgent help resources. They should know when they need to call 911. They should be able to identify the various resources that we have in our community that they have access to. The Crisis Center, the Kids Helpline, Alex Panton's Kids Helpline, or the Caymanian Kids Helpline, Alex's Place, and Caymanian. And they need to understand what those resources do and how it can help them. And again, you can make a little poster, stick it on the fridge. We need to make sure that they know what resources are in the community and which is free and which may have a fee. You also need to know those resources. One of the things that is really important to do as parents is make sure you know what your insurance covers so that you know how to access the help when you have to get it, whether it's for you or your children. So how do we give hope? We need to educate ourselves and our young people. We need to encourage sharing of feelings by being vulnerable and modeling the things that we want our children to be able to do as well. We need to take time to support them. We need to help them work through conflict and learn problem solving. We need to take time to support them, show them how to take care of themselves, and you take care of yourselves as well. Parents need to make sure that the resources available in our community is accessible and their children know about it. And the lawmakers and leaders need to open the dialogues more and wider. We can change the context by beginning to have those dialogues and modeling the behaviors by listening and including and working with those young people. There is hope. We can change the context. We're doing it now slowly, but we've still come a long way. We still have a long way to go. But we just need to create the space for it to grow. Thank you.